you to know that my house was bombed. It was bombed by the black Muslim movement upon the orders of Elijah Muhammad. And when the bomb was thrown, one of the bombs was thrown at the rear window of my house where my 3 little baby girls sleep. And I have no compassion or mercy or forgiveness or anything of that sort for anyone who attacks children. If you attack me, that's one thing. I know what to do when you start attacking me. But when you attack sleeping babies while you are lower than a god, the only thing that I regret in all of this is that 2 black groups have to fight and kill each other off. Elijah Muhammad could stop the whole thing tomorrow just by raising his hand. Really, he could. He could stop the whole thing by raising his hand. But he won't. He doesn't love black people. He doesn't even love his own brothers. Proof of which they're killing each other. They killed one in the ground. They shot another one in the ground. They tried to get 6 of us Sunday morning. And the pattern has developed across the country. The man has gone insane. Absolutely out of his mind. Besides, you can't be 70 years old and surround yourself by a handful of 16, 17, 18-year-old girls and keep your right mind. So from tonight on, there'll be a hot time in the old town. With regret, with great regret. There's no organization in this country that could do more for the struggling black man than the Black Muslim movement if it wanted to. But it has gotten into the possession of a man who's become senile in his old age and perhaps doesn't realize it. And then he has surrounded himself by his children who are now in power and want nothing but luxury and security and comfort and will do anything to safeguard their own interests. So I feel responsible for having played a major role in developing a criminal organization. It was not a criminal organization at the outstart. It was an organization that had the power, the spiritual power, to reform the criminal. And this is what you have to understand. As long as that strong spiritual power was in the movement, it gave the moral strength to the believer that would enable him to rise above all his negative tendencies. I know, because I went into the movement with more negative tendencies than anybody in the movement. And just faith in what I was taught was made it possible for me to stop doing anything that I was doing and everything that I was doing. And I saw thousands of brothers and sisters come in who were in the same condition. And then whatever they were doing, they would stop it overnight, just through faith, and faith alone. And by this spiritual force, giving one the faith that enabled one to exercise the moral discipline, it became an organization that was to be respected as well as faith. But as soon as the faith in the movement, the faith in the minds of the people in the movement was destroyed, now it has become a movement that's organized, but not on a spiritual basis. And because there is no spiritual ingredient within the organization, there's no moral discipline. So it now consists of brothers and sisters who were once well-meaning, but now who do not have the strength to discipline themselves, so they permit themselves to be used as a machine for a man who, as I say, has gone senile and is using them now to commit murder, acts of maiming and crippling other people. And I know there's a brother sitting in here right now tonight who was beaten by them a couple of years ago. I'm not going to say he knows. And if anybody should apologize to him, I should apologize to him. And I do apologize to him because he was beaten by the movement when I was in the movement. I wasn't too far from him when he got beaten. But this is what happens, and this is what we have to contend with. I, for one, disassociate myself from the movement completely, and I dedicate myself to the organizing of black people into a group that are interested in doing things constructive, not for just one religious segment of the community, but for the entire black community. This is what the purpose of the organization of Afro-American Unity is. To have an action program that's for the good of the entire black community, and we are for the betterment of the community by any means necessary. And since tonight we had to get into this old nasty, negative subject, we didn't want to bring up our program. We're going to have a rally here this coming Sunday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. At 2 o'clock. Is it 2 o'clock, Brother Reuben? 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, at which time we will give you the program of the Organization of Afro-American Unity, what our aims are, our objectives are, what our program is, whether or not you want to be identified with it, and what active part you can play in helping us to straighten Harlem out. Nobody's going to straighten out Harlem but us. Nobody cleans up your house for you. You have to clean it up yourself. Harlem is our house. We'll clean it up. But when we clean it up, we'll also control it. We'll control the politics, we'll control the economy, we'll control the school system, and teach our people their way. So on that note, I'm going to bring my talk to a close. We're going to have a 5-minute recess, during which time we're going to take up a collection so that we can pay for the expense of the hall. And then we'll take a 15-minute question period afterwards. So, Brother James, is everything all set? Yeah, we're going to have lights or something else. We're going to have a collection period right now, and we only want you to do, brothers and sisters, is help us pay for the hall. And if each of you put $1 in those white pails that come by, we'll have the hall paid for. And I really want to apologize to you for taking your good time tonight to talk about a nasty, negative subject. But if you wake up in the middle of the night and see your house on fire all around you with your babies crying, you'll take time to get on a nasty, negative subject too. I want to thank you for your patience. And ask you to be patient just a couple. Brother Mike, doesn't seem to be. Sir, there were some questions you wanted to ask, was it? Yeah. The press here wants to ask a couple of questions. I just want to take time to answer them for them, then we'll get right into our business. We can get rid of them and get right into our business. Well, I'm not at the house because the house is bombed up. I wouldn't say, behind what has happened, I wouldn't ever say where I'm going to live. Well, that's an expression. Okay, they just wanted, this is the press, they want to get the questions out of the way. Please, when I said that there'd be a hot time in a old town night, that's just a song, that people sing. Yes, sir.
You mentioned between the Muslims and the right wing in this country? I know for a fact that there is a conspiracy between the Muslims and the Lincoln Rockwell Nazi and also the Ku Klux Klan. There is a conspiracy. Describe this conspiracy. Well, the Ku Klux Klan made a deal, or were trying to make a deal with Elijah Muhammad in 1960 in the home of Jeremiah X, the minister in Atlanta at that time, the president of the minister in Philadelphia. They were trying to make a deal with him to make available to Elijah Muhammad a county, a size, tract of land in Georgia or South Carolina, where Elijah Muhammad could then induce Negroes to migrate and make it appear that his program of a segregated state or separated state was feasible. And to what extent these negotiations finally developed, I do not know, because I was not involved in them beyond the period of December 1960. But I do know that after that, Jeremiah, who was the minister throughout the South, could roam the entire South and the Klan not bother him in any way, shape, or form, or would they bother any of the black Muslims from then on, nor would the black Muslims bother the Klan. Are you confirmed that because of this conspiracy, the attempt was made upon your life? The attempt could have been made upon my life. And that's that again. Are you inferring that because of this conspiracy, the attempt was made on your life? Not necessarily that conspiracy. The attempt was made upon my life because I speak my mind and I know too much, and they know that I was thinking. Am I urging my followers to take action against Muslims? No. Am I going to try and infiltrate their organization and win over some of their supporters? No, I have never tried to win supporters from Elijah Muhammad. Since I have left the Black Muslim movement, I've spoken at these rallies. Those who come, those who don't. But I've never gone out of my way to win over any of his followers. And he himself is fearful because he knows that you don't have to exercise too much energy to win his followers. As soon as they know truth and compare the two. By the way, this is the brother. This is Leon Almir, who was Cassius Clay's secretary, whom they beat unmercifully up in Boston. And the court freed the men who beat him. They fined him $100 for it. Fined him $100. And he was on the inside of the Black Muslim specialty squad. And I know it. And it was he who heard Elijah Muhammad Jr. come to New York when Elijah Muhammad was at the Armory in June of last year. Junior stood up and told the truth, many of whom are here now also, that I should have been killed, that my tongue should have been put in an envelope and sent back to Chicago by now. And because Fat Joseph had not done it, they demoted him. He remained captain, but Clarence up in Boston was put over Joseph. And Joseph's authority was curtailed. And then Clarence, the captain from Boston, and John, the captain from Springfield, came to New York to assassinate me, and came to him to get a silencer, and couldn't get it. So the police know this. It's not something that's new. They just wait until the job is done, and then they step in. You know that Elijah Muhammad was behind this? Yes, Elijah Muhammad called all of his officials, national officials, to Chicago in October, and ordered them to kill or maim any of his followers who lead him to follow me. Well, when you say, how do I know? Many of the brothers who were in at that time are out now. And if this ever comes into the court, there are plenty of witnesses who can stand up and testify to it. Pardon? You have any? I'd rather not say it this time. When you say you know social lunch. What do you think? Who's the next? Give him 2 more minutes. Give him 2 more minutes and we'll end it. Yes, when I said that no one can clean up our home but us, and that we will clean it up, including and no one should control it but us, including the politics. What do I mean? I mean exactly that. That the black people Power is one of us. He's one of us, I mean he's one of the family. And no one outside the family can get us to talk about it. If we talk about it, we talk about him within the family. So nobody outside the family can instigate us against power. Yes, by controlling it politically, I mean that the politics of the community of Harlem should be controlled by those of us who live in Harlem. Not by somebody sitting down in Gracie Mansion. Sir? No. But the Organization of Afro-American Unity intends to get involved in every kind of action that's going on in New York City. We don't intend to let anybody downtown influence us in any way, shape, or form. We want the influence to come from Harlem and from other Harlems around the country. Now, this doesn't mean we're anti-outside of Harlem. This doesn't mean we're anti-Bronx or anti-White Plains or anti-white or anti-German or anything like that. But it means we're pro-Harlem. We're pro-ourselves. We want to start doing something for ourselves. That's all it means. It means that we want to stop begging you for your school. We want you to get out of the way and let us straighten out the schools in Harlem. Yes, sir. I just answered it when I said from tonight on there'll be a hot time in the old town. I answered it when this gentleman over here asked. A song that we used to sing. An implication, an implied threat. I never imply any threats to anyone. I'm a Muslim. My religion is Islam. It's a religion of peace. Sir? Yes, I do believe there'll be further attempts on my life. I know them. They're foaming at the mouth. The rank and file Muslim means well. So at the hierarchy who are living off the bad tax who don't mean well. And this coming Sunday at 2 o'clock, as I say, our program will be unfolded. Elijah Muhammad knows he has done some good things and he has done some bad things. He knows that if he had wanted to, he could have united our people with the Muslim world just by teaching the right religion of Islam. He could have done so. The entire Muslim world would have accepted him. As it is now, the Muslim world has rejected him. He can never go into the Muslim world saying that he's a prophet or that Allah came over here in the flesh. They would cut his head off if he said that. And he knows this. None of his followers can go over there without denouncing him. It's impossible for them to go to Mecca or any other place unless they ascribe to Islam as it is ascribed to over there. So he was in a position to unite us with the Muslim world, those of us who are Muslims. He was also in a position to unite us with Africans. But you cannot read anything that Elijah Muhammad has ever written that's pro-African. I defy you to find one word in his direct writing that's pro-African. You can't find it. If there is virtue or anything, don't you think that some of your followers might want to reach out? Listen to this question, man. I gotta tell him what you asked me. He asked me, don't I think if I got hurt, wouldn't some of my followers retaliate? What are you trying to say? Or what are you trying to get me to say? I'm not going to get you in any trouble. These are your friends in here. That's all. I just want them to hear what you're asking me. You wouldn't get no trouble in here. Would it? Yes, sir. Last question. I'm under a civil court order to get out of my house in Queens. Somebody told me that they heard that on the radio. I know nothing about it. And I haven't discussed it with a lawyer yet, and I won't make any comments until I discuss it with a lawyer. But I just hope that nobody tries to go in there while what's left of my belongings are there. Some have been in the vicinity, yes, and some policemen, too, have been nice enough to watch the house ever since it was bombed. I wish they had been watching it while it was bombed. Yeah, a great deal of my personal belongings were lost. There's been 4 bombs in there. I might point this out, that these who did it were so vicious, and those who did it knew the whole layout of the house. And to show you why I believe in Allah, the bombs that were thrown into the front part of the house were thrown directly against the window, so they came through. But before they threw the first one, the neighbor saw someone go up to the window with a mop-like instrument and break the window, crack the glass. And then they threw the bombs in after the glass was broken. And that was in the front part. Now they had come around, so they had planned to do it from the front and the back so that I couldn't get out. They covered the front completely, the front door. Then they had come to the back, but instead of getting directly in the back of the house and throwing it this way, they stood at a 45-degree angle and tossed it at the window so it glanced and went onto the ground. And the fire hit the window, and it woke up my second oldest baby. But the fire burned on the outside of the house. But had that one gone through that window, it would have fallen on a 6-year-old girl, a 4-year-old girl, and a 2-year-old girl. And I'm going to tell you, if it had done it, I'd taken my rifle and gone after anybody in sight. I would not wait. And I said it because of this. The police know the criminal operation of the Black Muslim movement because they have thoroughly infiltrated. There is no conversation that takes place in the Black Muslim movement that the city police don't know about, because they have policemen in there. They don't let black people form anything without some policemen in there. And while I was in the Black Muslim movement, or the Black Muslim movement, many of the police who were sent to infiltrate us, they're black, would tell me, say, look, I'm a guy, but I have to come. They would tell me. I knew the Muslim movement was full of police. So don't you think anything is going down that they don't know about? The only thing that goes down is what they want to go down. And what they don't want to go down, they don't let it go down. One last question, yes, sir. The Muslims claim that you are the wrong. That's what I said. The Muslims claim I found my house. Well, you can take what you want. The arson squad, the fire marshal, all of them are experts in this kind of thing. And if anybody can find where I bombed my house, they can put a rifle bullet through my head. It was my children and my own life and my wife's life that was at stake. In fact, let me tell you something, sir. I stood Sunday morning. You know what temperature was? It was about 15 or 20. I stood in my underwear, bare feet, in the middle of my driveway with a gun in my hand for 45 minutes, waiting for the police or waiting for the fire department to come. If I want to put on a show, I can find a better way than that to put it on. Brothers and sisters, here's the Saturday Evening Post, dated February the 27th, 1965. And in it there's an article titled, "An Ex-Official Tells Why the Black Muslims Are a Fraud." This is one of the brothers in Boston who was formerly the secretary up there, and who is the cousin of Ronald Stokes, the brother who was killed out in California in April of 1962. And I would like to say this before anything else, and that is, don't think that I don't know how bad I make myself look by attacking an organization that I was once so inseparably a part of. But I'm not particularly concerned with how bad it makes me look. My prime concern is to expose it to the fullest of my ability. Let the chips fall where they may. And if the Black Muslim movement says that I'm wrong in what I say, then I say, since they're so well qualified and equipped, let them attack the Klan. Let them go find out, let them get the person who bombed that church in Birmingham. Because I'll go get them. I'll go and attack the Klan and attack Rockwell and any of the others. And I defy them to do so. They can't do it. Because they both have the same paymaster. So now our question period. And you have to stand up because I can't see beyond this man's light. Yes, sir. Don't you think that we should become involved in some direct action demonstrations? We are going to unveil our program on that next Sunday at 2 o'clock. Brother, I'm for anything you for, as long as it's going to get some results. I'm for anything you're for. As long as it's intelligent, as long as it's disciplined, as long as it's aimed in the right direction, I'm for it. And what determines what we should do or shouldn't do will in no way be influenced by what the man downtown thinks. We don't need anybody on the outside laying the ground rules by which we are going to fight our battles. We'll study the battle, study the enemy, study what we're up against, and then outline or map our own battle strategy. And we'll get some results. But as long as you have someone coming in from the outside telling you how you should do it and how you shouldn't do it, and always what they tell you is nonviolent, peaceful, love everybody, forgive them, Lord, they know not what they do. As long as you're getting that kind of bag, why, you'll never get anywhere. What we want is to let them know that our aims are just. Our aims are within the realm of justice. And since they are, we're justified in going after those aims. Don't you know it's a disgrace for the United States of America to have Martin Luther King, my good friend, the Right Reverend Dr. Martin, in Alabama, using school children to do what the federal government should do. Think of this. Those school children shouldn't have to march. While Lyndon Johnson is supposed to have troops down there marching. Your children are supposed to have to get out there and demonstrate just the vote. This is a drag. It shows our so-called leaders have been outmaneuvered. Every day, you look on the television, you listen to the radio, you read the newspaper, and see where black people go into jail by the hundreds, by the thousands. You don't do this in a civilized country. In any other country, the government will do its job. But this exists only because the government is not doing its job. It's got Martin Luther King down there with crocodile tears, crying his way into jail and still coming out and haven't got the ballot yet. We can get the ballot. Since they passed the Civil Rights Bill, since they passed the Civil Rights Bill and have made it legal, don't you know that anywhere our people want to register and vote, they're within their legal rights? All you and I have to do is show that we're men. And when they go to vote, we go with them. With them. With them.
prepared. Not prepared to make trouble, not prepared to cause trouble, but prepared to protect ourselves in case trouble comes our way. And no one can find fault with that. Yes, ma'am. Your nephew is where? In South Bend, in that now? You should have him in Alabama. You tell me right. Now, you talking my kind of talk. Yeah. I know you will. I know you will. Yes, ma'am. That's all right. Don't bother me, ma'am. Yes. Yes. How are you?
Thank you. I found him out. I want to know, I'm here on a very serious mission tonight. A child had fallen out of Sinai Hospital window. We buried him sadly. The officials refused to speak to anyone. They have not spoken to the mother or anyone else. We have sent delegations there, and each time they tell us that there's no one available to speak to. I had a picket line there Saturday while they were funeralizing the child. I had a picket line there on Sunday. The officials told me that I'm going back to Texas and I'm going to keep my house shut. So all we can do is walk and gather the time. Now, can something be done about this? A 13-year-old child.
Fell out of the hospital window?
So very sad. But this child has lived on the top floor all of his life. And his mother got 10 minutes he could have dropped out of if he just wanted to come out of the window. And I am appealing to you and the rest of us here who have sorrow and our concern at heart. What can we do? And what must we do to avoid something else like this?
This is what I meant earlier when I said concerning the importance of our controlling Harlem. As long as we have outsiders running our hospitals and our schools and our everything else, they will run us right on out of existence. I would suggest that you come over to the office and see what we can get our heads together on and see what we can do. Anything I can do, I certainly will, and I know all the brothers and sisters will. We have time for 2 more questions. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. No, they're not. They're marching for the parents. Let me tell you, I was in Selma. When I got to Selma, I talked with these children. I talked to them, and I have to say this. I have to expose the man. King's man didn't want me to talk to them. They told me they didn't mind me coming in and all that, but they wished that I wouldn't talk to the children because they knew what I was going to say. But the children insisted that I be heard. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten a hearing at all. And many of the students from SNCC also insisted that I be heard. This is the only way I got a chance to talk to them. And I might point out that one little girl who was only 13 years old told me that she had been in jail the night before. She had just gotten out that morning. And she told of how they were using cattle prods, taking it and sticking it up against the head of some of these little children and giving them headaches and things of that sort. Oh, yes. The most brutal form of punishment imaginable takes place down there. And nothing is done about it. Old Lyndon is all tied up in South Vietnam and Congo and other places, but is not minding his business in Mississippi and Alabama. But you see, I don't blame them. I blame us. Really, I blame us. Once we organize, we can straighten it out. The government is not going to straighten it out. It's too corrupt. It has too many races in it. Too many regulations right in the government. So how can somebody from Texas gonna stop the Klan? From Texas. Texas is a Klan today itself. No, you're out of your mind. You're lost at stopping the Klan talk. But when it comes to some action, it doesn't get done. You and I have to do it. And I promised the brothers and sisters in Alabama when I was there that we'd be back. I'll be back. You'll be back. We'll be back. We'll ease on in, brothers and sisters. People down there aren't afraid. They're not afraid. They just waiting for somebody to tell them what to do. That's all. And they don't go where they don't turn the other cheek. No, that's why they got children doing. And even those children don't go for turn the other cheek. And there's nothing wrong with my saying this. Anytime you live in a government in 1965 that will permit conditions to exist that force a Negro leader to take children, babies, and march them down the street for get a right to register and vote, why that government should come under question. Should come under examination. You should stop and take a second look at it. And if it's not the government, then it's the men in the government. But the blame has got to be put somewhere. But you know where I put it? On us. We're too easy. We're too forgiving. We're too loving. We're too forgetful. We're too compromising. And we're too peaceful. Time for one more question. Yes, sir. Well, yes, ma'am. Yes. Akbar Muhammad, along with Wallace Muhammad. But Akbar Muhammad gave a press conference in Cairo, completely disassociating himself from his father and pointing out that what Elijah Muhammad is teaching in this country is absolutely and diametrically opposed to the true teachings of Islam. This was in Cairo. And actually what Elijah Muhammad is teaching is an insult to the entire Muslim world, because Islam has a religion, as a religion, has nothing to do with color. There's no religion has anything to do with color. And Islam as a religion, it doesn't use the color of a man's skin to measure him or as a yardstick. Islam as a religion judges a man by his intention, by his behavior, by his deeds. Now, I can judge these crackers, not because they're white. I'm not talking about them because they're white. I'm talking about them because what they do. Do you understand? Anything you hear me say here about whiting, or the white man, it's not because he's white. No, I shake his hand if he's all right. But first, you got to get all right. The standard of judgment from a Muslim is behavior, intention, and deeds. Do you understand? What Elijah Muhammad teaches is not that. Yes, sir. The action, yes. With power, yes.
Would it be that if we were, speaking of the black man, the more black color,
Don't let them maneuver you into forming anything that can be compared with the Klan. See, it is true, we're the target of brutal criminal treatment from the Klan. Now, we don't need a black Ku Klux Klan. All we need is black people who believe in the brotherhood of man and who will fight anyone who threatens the brotherhood of man. Now, the Klan is a threat to this brotherhood, and we are legally within our rights to defend ourselves from this Klan. But if we call ourselves a Klan, what will happen? The press will pick up what you do and make what you do look wrong. Because they don't make it look wrong anyway. So if you call yourself that, you help them. You help them hurt you. No, we don't want anything to do with the Klan or anything like the Klan. We want to destroy the Klan. Disband it, destroy it, erase it from this earth. And we can do it. You've been in the Army. They taught you all those tricks. Well, use them. I got to say this, then we're going to close. You need to study guerrilla warfare. Get every book you can find on guerrilla warfare. There's nothing wrong with saying that. Yeah, it's good to know everything. There's nothing wrong with knowing that. Why, the government teach you that. The grandparents teach you that, don't they? No, they taught it to your son. Well, tell your son, teach it to your son. But then tell your son how to use it. No, you study that we're going to have classes. The OAAU is going to have classes in all of the various sciences that you and I need to know. Karate, judo, we've got some experts. This brother here is an expert judo man, expert karate man. He'd break that board right there like it wasn't even board. You come on in the OAAU and we'll train you. Show you how to protect yourself. Not so that you can go out and attack someone. You should never attack anybody. But at the same time, whenever you yourself are attacked, you are not supposed to turn the other cheek. Never turn the other cheek until you see the white man turn his cheek. The day that the white man turns the cheek, then you turn the cheek. And I mean, if Martin Luther King was teaching white people to turn the other cheek, then I would say he was justified in teaching black people to turn the other cheek. That's all I'm again. Make it a two-way street. Make it even Steve. If I'm going to be nonviolent, then let them be nonviolent. But as long as they're not nonviolent, don't you let anybody tell you anything about nonviolence. No, be intelligent. So, brothers and sisters, we're going to have our program on Sunday at 2 o'clock. I hope that every one of you will be here. It'll be one of the last programs that we have. Please don't move. Please don't move. Please don't move. It's going to be one of the last programs we have. Next Sunday at 2 o'clock, it will be designed to unfold to you completely what our program is. And as I said earlier, before you came late, the only reason that I didn't do it tonight, I wanted to give you a complete clarification on what happened at my house Sunday morning, so that you would know. And once you know, then you can stay way away from me or come on and we'll get united. One of the two. But I don't want to get you into anything and you don't know what you're getting into. I'm not trying to get you in any trouble. But I am trying to get something organized that will enable us to take a direct action against the forces that have been holding us back. Now, they asked me to, Brother Benjamin will tell you what else there is in just 2 minutes, while there's something else I have to do.
Brothers and sisters, we would like for everyone to remain seated. And anyone who is standing in the aisle on either side, sort of, clear the aisle. Please remain seated. You're living in a world where you must have an open mind. No one can exist today with a closed mind. Today, your mind must be flexible. I once read where a man from the East said that humanity is two men, the teacher and the taught. And there is no good in anything besides these. Which means that if you have knowledge, then you should teach it to someone. And if you don't have the knowledge, then you should be willing to learn. And if you can't teach someone or learn from someone, then you're no good. And this is a fact, that if you can't teach somebody something or learn from someone who knows, then you're no good to yourself and you're no good to anyone else. Therefore, you and I are living in an era that is very crucial. We're living in an era that has not been since You can't read anywhere in history where you have found an era such as the era that you and I are living in right now. If you would take all of the critical moments in history and heap them together, they still will not equal the seriousness of the times that you and I are living right now. So you and I, as a people, we should consider the time. We should consider the time that we're living in. I don't mean if it's 2 o'clock or if it's 3 o'clock or if it's 4 o'clock. You and I should consider the era